Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. So, we got more news, more heartbreaking news. Some people, I can't say really heartbreaking because half of these series we don't even hear about these people. But I'm sure a lot of people have heard about Jim Edgar, who was the former governor of Illinois. He sadly passed away at the age of 79. And that's why I'm saying in my last video, in discussing David Schweikert leaving, not really my last video, it's just say, hey, look, you cannot get connected with these people. People die in their 70s. It's a thing. People die in their 60s. It's a thing. And in this case, Jim Edgar was, I want to believe, younger than my grandmother, and he passed away. He passed away. My grandmother's still living in her 83 years old. She's still trucking. You never know. Jim Edgar passes away, and man, he had a big electoral history. I wouldn't say he had a big electoral history, but he was pretty popular as a governor and even as a Secretary of State. So we're going to go ahead and get started with his electoral history. He was a part of the Illinois General Assembly. We're going to address that right now, get that out of the way. He was also part of the Illinois House of Representatives also. And then he decides to run for Secretary of State. And in Secretary of State, he manages to pull off a good win. You'll see in the traditional Republican areas, he got 70% in the suburbs of Chicago, like DeKalb County or DuPage, I don't know what it's called. DuPage County, something like that. You have some southern Illinois counties voting for his opponent, Jerome Cosentino. And getting this out of the way right now, Edgar wins the primaries by 100%, so we don't have to look that up. He won the Republican primary for Secretary of State by 100%. This is pretty much your map. Cook County, very moderate compared to right now. It's important to note that Jim Edgar is a liberal. Okay, he is a rhino. He is more left-leaning on social views and more on social issues, and on fiscal issues, he's a little bit more conservative. But this guy is pretty liberal, and I want to believe he is Trump deranged. I don't know. Probably. Is he Trump deranged? I don't know. Let's look that up. Does Jim Edgar like Donald Trump? Yeah, very vocal and consistent critic of Donald Trump and did not like him, a lifelong moderate Republican, of course. Edgar believed Trump was a disaster for the party and the country and endorsed Democrats in the last 3 presidential elections. So he's a Kamala supporter. So yeah, Trump deranged, but really it's not just Trump derangement. And I know I shouldn't be criticizing him when he's dead. I don't mean to do that. I'm just calling it out. But he's just not only does he like Trump, it's more like this isn't just because he doesn't like Trump personally, it's more he's more liberal. Let's see, is Jim Edgar more left-leaning or right-leaning? Considered a moderate center-right politician whose views are not easily characterized as strictly left or right. I would imagine, yes, this is he is pro-abortion, and pro-gay marriage, very in a time where, of course, gay marriage was not popular. But yes, and you can expect why. Edgar did very well in the traditional Republican areas, like this county right here. I don't DeKalb or DuPage. I don't know what it's called, something like that. Kane County, Kane County's right here. Yeah, you just have a couple counties going for that said direction. Jerome Constantine is somewhat very popular also. He was a legend in Illinois politics. He passed away in 97, but the fact that he beated him pretty handily was surprising and shocking at the same time. Now look at this. Now because of Jim Edgar's liberal views, he manages to carry every single county. Not only does he manage to carry every single county, he actually got Cook County, which holds Chicago, up to 60%. That is huge. Chicago voting for him in a landslide against, now, to be honest with you, you had two political parties. You had the left being in a dead heat, a split field. And now you got the left wing split right now between Edgar, Spriggle, and Hart. This is not really the best election for Republicans. But you do have, of course, Janice Hart. She was the Democratic nominee. And she did horrible because the third party, Jane Spriggle, who comes from Illinois Solidarity, surpassed her with 16.71%. Hilarious. You can see that you got Lake County, a part of the the Chicago metropolitan area, up to 80% of the vote. It was relatively Republican back then. You got DuPage or something like that. Those traditional Republican counties. I'm actually going to look those counties up with the map. But those counties voting for him in the 70s and in the 80s, and it's not really surprising because, honestly, they were Republican strongholds. Yeah, this is DuPage. This is Kane right here. This is DuCobb. This is Will County right down here. This one, that is Grundy County. So, yeah, Chicago is probably the most shocking because you don't see Chicago in 60% Republican. That's ridiculous. But, yeah, he did. And, obviously, Jim Edgar solidly won the county. And he also won the primary pretty handily and pretty easily. Now, you'd say, hey, look, I can make a career out of this. And that's what he does. He goes and he runs for governor in 6 years. 4 years. Now it's closer. You got this guy named Neil Hartigan, and this probably, you could assume, was a shocker to a lot of Edgar supporters because they saw how good he was in the Attorney General. That's because, remember, like I said, some people like you to be the Attorney General. They'll support you as an Attorney General, but they won't support you as an executive, as someone that enforces the law. And part of this would be liberals, because I can understand why liberals would vote a lot of Republican, because Republicans are generally pros when it comes to Attorney Generalship. They hold the Attorney General's offices a lot. But governors, no, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that would work. So they vote for the Democrat, not like Neil Hartigan. Yeah, he's not really well established. Yeah, he was the former Attorney General. But the former Attorney General of Illinois, all that stuff, the former Lieutenant Governor. So he's high-profile politician. In looking at his electoral history, yeah, this guy was popular, 61%. So you're running against two popular people. That was really the main reason, right? And hey, Edgar was more popular, and he pulled it off. He lost Chicago. He lost Cook County. But hey, it is what it is. You'll see in the Republican primary, he ran against Stephen Barr and Robert Marshall. Barr winning Iroquois County, Tazewell County, and this county right here, don't know what it's... Oh, yeah, that's Effingham County. You got also Jasper County, 54.77%, 62% of the popular vote. So, yeah, this is a pretty big win for Jim Edgar in the Republican primary. That's what they came into mind. I would imagine that ideally it would be Stephen Barr who would be the conservative option in the Republican Party and their option, their minds. But yeah, this was the poorest or the most closest result for Jim Edgar, but he manages to score again. Look at that. 1994, the Republican Revolution, he holds on. Now, he did lose one county down in the corner. That county, relatively more liberal at the time, very Republican today. That's Gallatin County, ancestrally Democratic stronghold throughout history, and relatively Roman Catholic. So, yes, I mean, you got a pretty good result as governor. He defeated Don Clark Natch, who it was the comptroller of Illinois. She's deceased. But yeah, you got Chicago back, but not by the margin that you did in Attorney General, and you can understand why. Democrats are more likely to vote Republican in an Attorney General's race than in a governor's race because they rely on that strong Republican policies as Attorney General for the Attorney Generalship, right? They rely on that for their safety, especially when you're a crime city like Chicago. And Chicago, to be honest, wasn't really as bad as it was in the 90s and the 80s. You had it pretty good than you have it today. So this was Jim Edgar's performance in Illinois abroad. And ultimately, he decides not to run because even though Edgar is not term limited, he decides to let George Ryan run, who was a convicted felon, who would be a convicted felon. We did cover him this year, who passed away also. But anyway, that includes pretty much our video. I mean, this is pretty much post-governorship. Yes, he was a participant in the National Academy of Public Administration. So, yeah, I mean, he's one of your liberal people. Your liberal Republicans. Yep, he supported abortion. He endorsed Senator McCain, Republican McCain. So he does vote Republicans. But when a non-establishment Republican runs, he says, nope, I'm actually jumping ship and I'm going to support Democrats. So, what do you guys think in regards to this video? Let me know down below. And as always, I'll see you all in the next political episode.